Hey third graders, this video is going to help us draw some faces. So you're going to be able to do this at your own pace and you can come back to it as you work on your famous person creation. But I'm going to walk you through some resources that you need to use and that I've given to you so that you can draw the face the best way that you want. Now, first things first, again, I want you to think about people's faces and what those people's faces look like. Look at the neighbors around you, think about your own face. And you're probably going to find that a lot of times when you want to draw a face, you'll think that you want to have an oval for a head, and that you'll think that the eyes go up top, and the nose goes in the middle, and the mouth comes at the bottom. But there's a few problems that we have when we draw faces like this. One, it's not going to be proportional. Two, is it's not going to give us space for the other parts of our face and head that we need. First of all, when you look at this face, you'll notice that the eyes are really high up. Imagine that they're right up here at the top. The nose is really far down and the mouth is really far down. When you look at this, there's really no place on the picture for the head to have hair. The ears, if you were to draw them on, I don't know how you draw them, but again, they'd be really large in proportion to the rest of it, and it'd be hard to know where to put the neck. A lot of times when I see kids draw necks, we draw itty bitty ones. So again, when we draw our face like this, we don't leave room for the parts that we need. Now, what we are going to be doing today is using proportions and learning how to draw some specific details to make a face that looks more realistic. And again, this isn't going to be totally realistic. That will be something that takes a lot of practice, but we're going to learn some tricks to help us make it more realistic. So first things first, today you're going to be getting a blank sheet of paper in class. If you're doing this at home, just know that you'll be working on your famous person. Again, for today, if you can write down your name, because you're going to turn this copy into me, and you are also going to make sure that you write your grade, so 3, and then whatever your classroom teacher is. So if you are in Miss Jandro, a J. If you are in Senora Sasses, an S. Or if you're in Mr. Gugasberg's, a G. Now, we are going to be following some instructions that are written on a packet that's being handed out to you in class. This packet, again, was not created by me, but by another teacher. And again, it goes through the steps of what we're going to do. I'm going to explain some of the whys and some of the hows, and I'm going to walk you through some of the things as you're working. But as you work, you're going to be able to follow along on this piece of paper. And if you need it in Spanish, it's written in Spanish on the back side. In this packet, there are some other resources as well. There's going to be images of eyes. I'm going to talk to you about how to draw eyes, but you can use these as reference points to help you draw different types. Noses, because again, there's lots of types of noses in the world. Mouths, again, because there's lots of kinds of mouths. Different hairstyles. More hairstyles. More hairstyles. Even more. And then finally, some additional features like maybe hats or a few extra hairstyles and glasses. Again, I'm going to reference back to this as you work. First things first, when you draw a face, just like it shows here, you're going to start with an oval and you're going to do some symmetry lines. Now, I'm using a pencil. You should always use a pencil, and you want to draw as light as you can. Remember, pressing hard like this is really hard to erase, and you're always left with a shadow line. But when I press as light as I can erase it, and there's no shadow line left. What you're going to do on this sheet today is you are going to draw an oval. Now, I like to draw my ovals so they're a little bit more like an upside-down egg, because when you look at a face, it's a little bit narrower on the bottom and a little bit bigger on the top. There's a lot of reasons for that, but the best one that you can know is because our jaw has to be made to open and close. So we have to have it a little bit smaller, and we've got some hinges that are in there, so that makes it a little bit smaller. And also up top, you need to leave room for your brain. So it's a little bit bigger up top. Now, looking back at this sheet again, you'll see that you want to draw 2 lines of symmetry. a face has two lines. One is the line of symmetry that goes straight up and down. So on my piece of paper, I'm going to draw as lightly as I can so that I can still see it, a line of symmetry. And again, you'll notice I hold my pencil way far back because I can't push as hard when my hand is way far back. The other thing I need to do is I'm going to divide the top and the bottom of my head in half. That is my eye line. That is where we are going to place your eyes. And I know it seems kind of crazy, but I want you to take a moment. And if you were to touch roughly the corner of your eye and then touch down to the bottom of your chin with your other hand or with another finger, and then you were to move, you'd find that your eyes are really sitting in the middle of your head. We don't always recognize this because we have a hairline on our head, and that hairline makes it feel like our head is shorter. But we really need to make sure that our eyes are right in the middle because, again, we need to leave room for that brain that lives right up here. And if we put our eyes way up top, it's no room for the brain. Now, that's our step one. Step two says we're going to divide this in half again for the nose. My nose ends about in this bottom quarter of the face. So right here is where I'm going to get the bottom of my nose touching. Step three says I'm dividing it in half one more time. That's my mouth line. So again, I'm going to divide it in half. Now you'll notice again on all of these, I hold my hand back and I draw lightly because I'm going to erase them. Now, once I've done this, I'll be able to draw all of my features on my face and I'll be a lot more successful. From here, the next step is to draw your eyes. Now your eyes, we can fit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them going across the head. A lot of times kids draw eyes either too big or too small, and it makes your face seem unusual, either like you have a giant head or like you have an itty bitty tiny head. So you always want to draw your eyes to fit about 5 of them. And here's the trick I use. Before I start drawing, I'm going to take kind of a guesstimate about how wide I need that to be. I can use my hand to measure on my pencil, and then I can do another little line and another little line. Now mine's got a little bit wide, so I might need to narrow that up and move those lines a little bit. And this is where, again, I may have to erase. So it's important that we draw lightly. Okay. Now, I can see I can fit about 1, 2, 3, 4. Oops, I might bring these in a little bit still. Took a little bit too much off the middle, and I think that was good. Now I've got little lines marking the corners of my eyes. I can fit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 eyes across my face. You'll notice again that, this is where my eye is going to be on both sides. When I start drawing then, I'm going to draw my eyes. And again, I have that reference point to look at. The biggest thing you need to know is that your eyes are shaped a little bit like an almond or a football. I'm going to make a line that bumps up and down and touches those points. Then I'm going to do another line on the bottom, up and down, to get the other points. Now again, I drew lightly because I might have to erase some of this. Then when I draw my irises, that's the colorful part of your eye. A lot of people draw it itty bitty, but it takes up most of your eyeball. So you want to draw it a little bit larger. And then you've got your pupil, which is that black part of your eye. And you want to draw that as a circle inside your iris. It's right in the middle of your iris. Now be aware, if you're standing outside, your pupil would be really small and your iris is really large. If you're standing inside, it's a little bit darker. So again, your eyes are going to look different. That pupil is going to be much larger. Your iris will seem a lot smaller. I usually, when I'm drawing, just make them about that size. Again, roughly in the middle. I can do things like I know that I'm going to have eyelashes, and I like to remind students, every person has eyelashes. It is not a girl thing or a boy thing. Every human being has eyelashes. They're important for eye biology, and they help keep your eyes protected and clean. If we didn't have them, our eyes would not be as safe as they are. So when I draw, I always draw eyelashes. Now, some people have, again, very light eyelashes. Some people have very long eyelashes, but the eyelashes are not a big thing. Again, obviously, some people add mascara and make their eyelashes very noticeable. But for our famous people, we don't need to add a lot of eyelash. Again, as you look at some of the details, some of them you may even choose to leave off. But be aware, eyelashes are not for girls or boys. They're on both people's eyes. Then you'll also notice that above your eye, there's this little fold on most people, not everybody. So look at your person's picture, and that little fold is where our eyelids tuck back. The very last thing then is, again, the eyebrows. And the eyebrows are generally, I do a zigzaggy line that goes above and gets narrower as it goes towards the outside. Again, everybody's eyebrows are different. So look at your person. If they have really thick eyebrows, draw thick eyebrows. If they are free to calo, you're going to have one eyebrow. Look at your person and draw what you see. Now, right now, that's our first details for the face. We've got step 1 through 5 completed. Now, here's the cool things about proportions. When we draw a line down from our nose, if I were to have an imaginary line down from our eyes, from the corner on both sides, that's actually exactly how wide my nose is. So when I draw this, if I do those lines really light, I can start drawing my nose. Now, again, there are lots of different kinds of noses, but you'll notice none of these look like a triangle. And very rarely will you see just a big circle for the nostril. Most of the time, actually, for many of us, our nostrils are hidden when we draw them. So generally what I tell students to do when you're drawing a nose is I like to draw kind of a little bump, and then I put 2 smaller bumps on the sides. That's it for my nose. Now, I might see some lines coming down from the edge of my eyebrows, and sometimes that's just to help us see where a shadow might be, but you really won't see much of a nose line. So please don't draw a triangle. We don't have a triangle nose. We just have a little bump down here on the bottom. And again, lots of different shapes. You'll get some people who have more of a nose like this and where we can see the nostrils, and that's fine too. If you can see them on your person, draw them on your person. Now, again, you should always check that you've made your nose as wide as your eyes are apart. If your person has a very wide nose, that's going to mean they generally have a wider face. If your person has a very narrow nose, they'll have a narrower face. So be aware of who you're drawing and check before you start making. Does your person have a wide face or a narrower face? Now, that gets us through, again, step 6. The next one is drawing our mouth. Now, just like the picture shows, if I draw a line from the center of my eye straight down and the center of my eye straight down all the way to my mouth line, that's actually how wide my mouth is. If I draw myself with a tiny little mouth, it's going to look like I'm always kind of pinching my lips together. So when I draw, I need to draw my mouth wide. Now, just like you saw here, this mouth line shows me where the bottom of my lip touches, not where the middle touches. So I'm going to go ahead and turn to some of those mouths, and I'm going to tell you right now, try not to do yours smiling. Smiling mouths are actually really hard to draw. If you can avoid it, do a different type of mouth. But you'll notice when you draw these, for example, let's draw this one, you'll see that it's got a little bit of a bump down on the bottom, 2 little bumps up top, and then a line in the center. The bottom lip is generally bigger than the top lip, but not always. So when I draw mine, I'm going to draw my lip going down and coming up. It should be about the same on both sides. And I'm going to draw my center lip coming across, and I'm going to do my top lip coming down. Again, that's going to give me a much more realistic face having those details drawn on there. Once I have this, there's only a few more details to add. My next one is my ears. Now, this is my only issue with this artist packet. Your ears actually stop at your eye line. If you were to measure directly from the corner of your eye over to your ear, that's where your ear would start. If you draw a line from the corner of your mouth directly back, that's where your ear starts. So when I draw an ear, it's generally just a very, very small, like half of an oval that rests along the side of my face. Now, obviously, if your person has really big ears that stick out, draw them that way. If they don't, though, they're usually pressed back on the head pretty tight, and you won't see many details of the ear, so you can just draw this like almost rounded rectangle even. Now, the last thing we need to do is make sure that we have a neck and that we have shoulders. Your neck actually starts way back here by your ears. If you touch at the bottom of your ears, you can draw a line that goes along your neck, but it curves in a little bit before it comes back down. So again, same thing here. I'm going to curve it in and come back down. And you'll notice that this person already has a lot more details that make them look real. The last thing I do is my shoulders will come off to the sides and go out. Another cool thing that you need to know is however tall your head is, that's actually how tall or wide your shoulders are. So if I were to draw the shoulders, they would come all the way out to here on my paper. Now, I've just drawn the part of them. At this point, now I get to add all the details. This is the base of how every face starts, but I'm gonna get to add in details to make it my own. So again, if I'm drawing hair, I can draw different things. Please know that if you're doing a ponytail, let me find a good ponytail. Ponytails tuck back behind the head generally, okay? Sometimes you get like a top knot where it comes up the top, but generally speaking, if you draw a person who's wearing a ponytail, their hair is just going to go back, kind of like this. And it's going to look more, again, because your hair kind of rests up above your head more, but it's going to look more like we've got just a line of hair like here, and then it gets colored in with whatever color their hair would be. But I really won't see the rest of the ponytail, so I don't need to draw it. Now, let's say that I have a long ponytail. I may decide to have some of that ponytail come back over the head, and I can draw in those lines to make it look like hair. But I'm going to end up getting very little ponytail showing. And that's normal. We don't see ponytails come out the side of the head unless you wear a ponytail. We don't generally see the top of the ponytail either, because again, it's behind the head, not on top of it. Now, I can also do things like add glasses. If I'm drawing glasses, again, look at what type of glasses your person is wearing. But let's say mine's gonna have glasses here and going across this way. I can draw those details and make it look like my person. And get those pieces. Again, your glasses go back towards your ear and those details. And then once I've got all my details in, once I feel like things are looking good, that's when I go back in and darken up. It's a lot easier now to come in and make these details darker and erase any lines that I need to if I didn't make them dark in the beginning. Okay? Again, your job today is I want you to take and draw this. If you're drawing your famous person, again, look at a picture of them and draw that picture as well. When you get finished, you can darken or outline. You can color if you like today. Or on your famous person, definitely add color. But you're going to get all these details that help us know who your famous person is and how they look.